Mr. Chief Justice, and may it please the court, my name is Eternal Morris, and I represent the petitioner, Bobby Bronner. The petitioner respectfully requests 2 minutes for rebuttal. The petitioner respectfully requests that this court reverse the decision of the trial court because Mr. Bronner's Fourth Amendment rights were violated by the police searching his cell phone records. The search in this case was unreasonable because it was unsupported by a warrant and there were no exigent circumstances in the situation to dispense with the warrant requirement. Your Honors, the Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution states that the right of the people to be secure in their persons, papers, houses, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant should issue but upon probable cause. In Katz v. United States, the Supreme Court rules that a search happens anytime a government agent intrudes upon a person's actual expectation of privacy and one that society is willing to recognize as reasonable. The search at hand consists of two category of searches, one dealing with cell site location information and the other one dealing with the phone numbers Mr. Bronner communicated with. Your Honors, our case is most like Carpenter v. United States. In Carpenter, the Supreme Court rules that a person maintains a legitimate expectation of privacy and the record of his physical movements as captured through cell site location information. The respondent may argue that because a person voluntarily shares his cell site location information with a third party for an important business purpose, he or she no longer maintains a legitimate expectation of privacy in his cell phone records. However, Carpenter of the United States rejects to extend the third party doctrine to cell site location information in general. Because cell site location information is its own unique category, and because cell site location information, the advance of technology since Smith makes it more possible for a government to track a person's movements through cell site location information implicates higher privacy concerns. Moreover, the argument that a person voluntarily shares his cell site location information with a third party is not applicable as seen in Carpenter, because a person has no choice but to share his information, his cell site location information with the company, because cell site location information is automatically generated whenever a phone searches for service. From society's perspective, the actions of the government in this case would have been considered a search. Carpenter cites United States v. Jones that says society's expectation has been that law enforcement agents others cannot secretly monitor and catalog every single movement of an individual's car for a very long period. This can be interpreted to mean that any tracking by the government of a person over a long period is considered a search. The respondent may also argue that the imprecision of the data gathered as to Bronner's actual location makes the action in this case a routine surveillance more than it does a search of Bronner. However, Carpenter of the United States deals with a similar case where the government argued that the imprecision of the data that the government agents gathered could not show exactly where Carpenter was at the time. However, the court rules that the agents in that case could have deduced Carpenter's approximate location given the location data and other information that they gathered. In our case, as page 4 of the record shows, that on January 16, 2016, agents obtained in real time anytime Bronner's cell phone was within 5 miles of 10 specific addresses. And also on February 7th, 2016, agents obtained records of every phone number that Bronner communicated between the time of 12 p.m. through 10 p.m. current location within 2 miles. Also, from society's perspective, the exclusivity of the search would show that it is a search. Because the information that the government agents gathered in this case was exclusive to Bronner and no one else, and the information that they gathered was only relevant to Bronner, this proves that there was indeed a search, even if there was an approximate location. The respondent may also argue that the action of the government in this case was not a search because they did not search the digital data, such as what officers did in Riley v. California. The digital data in that case concerned pictures, videos, or text messages. In this case, the agents searched the physical location of a cell phone. However, in Carpenter, the court states that the physical location of a cell phone is nonetheless digital data. Moreover, in Kylo v. United States, that case deals with the technology argument. The technology argument states that if the device used to search was able to gather data that was otherwise unknowable without being physically present, the use of that device would be considered a search. In our case, without Olympus cellular technology, the government agents in this case would not have been able to track Bronner's approximate location. Moreover, in Smith v. Maryland, this case deals with the phone numbers that a person dials on his or her cell phone. In Smith, the court ruled that a pen register, that the installation of a pen register by the phone company does not constitute a search because recording phone numbers is an important business practice for the cell phone company. However, the particulars in our case show that the government agents collected more than just dialed phone numbers as the one seen in Smith. Page 4 of the record shows that the agents on January 16, 2016, obtained every phone number that Mr. Bronner communicated with while his phone was within 10 miles of 10 specific addresses, and on February 3rd, every phone number that he communicated with, and on February 7, 2016, every phone number that he communicated with between the times of 12 p.m. and 10 p.m. This search was actually more like the search in Carpenter v. United States. And lastly, in United States v. Jones, deals with the physical trespass argument. The respondent may state that because there was no physical trespass in this case, that this was not a search. However, United States v. Jones shows that the CATS analysis only adds to, not substitutes, the trespassery test, which means that there are other ways that the government can intrude upon someone's expectation of privacy without physically intruding on that person's area of privacy. To my second point, Your Honors, there were no exigent circumstances in this case to dispense with the warrant requirement. In Kentucky v. King, the Supreme Court enumerates the situations in which an exigent circumstance may arise: to render emergency aid, to pursue a fleeing suspect, or to prevent the imminent destruction of evidence. The exigent circumstances do not apply in our case, because the agents in this case had insubstantial evidence that someone was going to be injured and no evidence at all that someone was currently being injured. The respondent may also argue that because statistically the ongoing problem of human trafficking shows that at any time someone is currently being injured. Page 2, footnote 2 of the footnote states that at any given time, 2.4 million people are trapped in human trafficking situations. However, statistics cannot conclusively prove that Mr. Bronner would be the one to traffic someone or to injure someone. Moreover, the pursuing suspect exigency does not apply here because Mr. Bronner was unaware that the police were tracking him. Thus, he had no reason to flee as if he were being chased by the police. Moreover, the police had ample time to secure a warrant before the alleged movement of the human trafficking operation that would take place February 7th through February 9th of 2016. Lastly, to prevent the imminent destruction of evidence, exigency does not apply here as well because there was nothing in a record to indicate that the police, because police actually already obtained evidence of Bronner's location, and there was nothing in a record to indicate that the police were not able to obtain Bronner's historical cell site location information after they had applied for a warrant. Page 3, footnote 6 says that Olympus Cellular has retention policies similar to Verizon. And page 14, appendix 1, shows that Verizon maintains cell site location information up to 1 year. This information could have more precisely shown Bronner's movements from January 16th through February 7, 2016 legally. Lastly, in McZorley v. McNeely, the respondent may argue that because human trafficking is an ongoing problem, there is an important government interest to combat this problem, and the needs of law enforcement makes the needs of law enforcement and the urgency of the situation makes the needs of law enforcement so compelling. However, in McZorley v. McNeely, the court rejects this argument also and says that the interest alone cannot justify dispensing with the warrant requirement without showing exigent circumstances existed to make obtaining a warrant impractical. In our case, obtaining a warrant was not impractical because the police were able to obtain 5 warrants legally without compromising their investigation. For the reasons stated above, the petitioner respectfully requests that this court reverse the decision of the trial court. Thank you.